Hi everyone, this is again Dan, and I got with me Mike from QuickSaveTV, and today we're going to be discussing the Jagged Alliance back in action.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike from QuickSaveTV, and with my friend Dan, we're gonna talk about, as he said, about Jagged Alliance. It's good to be here, and I'm really anticipating for the conversation.
So, as you all know, a few weeks back they finally released the patch 1.11, and I don't know, I sort of looked at it in a very positive way. They really have fixed a lot of things that I expected them to do. They really did fix the things that were required. For example, the mapping, the other options and settings, and, small UI changes that made the gameplay in general, like, feel much better. Have you tried playing it, Mike, when they released the 1.11?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, just as I came back and I had an opportunity to play with the 1.11, it was really exciting in my opinion. And again, that's very impressive work for just 13 people that work on the game, which I wish would be more. But again, it's a small studio, Core Play, small German studio. They're making miracles with 13 people. I mean, it's very,
I
very
was I was
difficult to
very
make fixes.
surprised to hear that there were 13
Mhm.
people. Really, I had no
But
idea.
again, but again, to be absolutely honest, 111 as such does not bring any crucially important or demanded features in the game,
True,
such as militia management, such as inventory of the sector, such as other things, and more, these
true,
small
true.
features they add up to the great game. The small features that 111 brought, such as shoot to kill, such as the time it takes to the mercenary to fire, such as additional positions in which mercenary can shoot now. So now basically more you will less often encounter the situation in which you just cannot shoot through something because your mercenary just being an idiot.
True, 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 true. In general, I think the 1.11 mainly fixed, I think, these small issues that people perceive as minor. So I think I believe that most of the people are maybe complaining that it's not enough or it's like below their, expectations. But seriously, in general, if you look
Mhm.
at all the points that 1.11 fixed, as you said, they are like overall, they give the gameplay itself a substantial boost in general. Like it
I
it, it
agree. I
it
agree with
it
that.
it it really does fix the gameplay in general as a whole. Obviously, people will always find things that want to add and change and improve but at the end of the day, as you said, we have to consider that there's only around 12 people working on this only. So again, it is really a wonderful job I think they have done so far. And and Michael did also mention, when they did release the 1.11, that he will be releasing a huge, huge patch. So, in estimates, I think the size of this one was around 115 megabytes with, I don't know, around 30, 40 points. I'm just throwing a number here, I'm not sure. So I think the
Mhm.
new one that should be coming out should be substantially bigger. And at the end of it, you noticed he at the end of his post he put a teaser that like he's probably gonna give a completely different gameplay style. As I mentioned in my
Mhm.
in my newscast, I still believe that that game style will give the player the opportunity to play it as a, you know, what is it called? As a time,
TBS,
yeah,
right?
TBS, time, as a time-based, game instead of real
Mhm.
time. I don't know. Would you see yourself switching back to the time-based game? I don't know the.
Absolutely not. Under no circumstances would I switch back to turn-based. And I'm gonna give my reasoning to this is I played Jagged Alliance 2
Yeah.
and Jagged Alliance 2 Unfinished Business when I was how old, like 10, which was like 10 years ago. And the main complaint I always had with the game, although I loved the way it operates, I loved the mechanics, I loved everything about the game except one
What
thing,
was that?
the realism.
Ah,
There
yeah.
was no realism as such because of the turn-based
And the
system.
graphics
And
in
what
those
would
days.
happen?
Yeah.
All graphics, I could live with that, no problem, no problem. But the turn-based system really killed the tactical part of the game because, for example, we would have a situation where in real life, in real physical world, this would not be possible, but
True.
in a game it's possible. Like,
True.
for example, if you put six mercenaries pointing at the doorway, under no circumstances will 12 people pass, no matter how long it takes them to do that.
True.
But in Jagged Alliance 2, if they keep passing one after another slowly, but eventually you're going to run out of action points and you will not be able to hold them anymore, which is not the case and cannot be done in Jagged Alliance back in action.
True.
So, although there are many problems with the current system, right, which they're trying to fix aggressively, I still think it's very, very nice addition. The removal of turn-based system. Although I think the fans of the game will kill me for that, I just feel that it's just a step forward,
True,
and games such as Frozen Synapse have proven that before.
true,
So
true.
there's no really point to be stuck in
I don't know.
turn-based.
Like I was very skeptical when I started this real time, you can say, play, but after seriously after like I don't know, the first 10, 15 minutes when I got sort of used to it, I think that the possibilities are much more varied than compared to a turn-based game. There, as you said, the limitations are huge, but in a real-time game, you could do so much more because you're not only limited to the amount of action points you have. Strategically, it's much wider. And again, I think it's also in turn with the whole, you can say, gaming industry. Nowadays, everything is more of a first-person shooter, RPG. Everything is, real time. Everybody expects things
Mhm.
to move quickly, done immediately. So in a way, I'm not sure. The hardcore fans might be sort of, angry that they removed this whole turn-based, game or the turn-based mode. But in turn, I don't know. Like after playing it now, there's no way I'd move back. For me, like this is the way I'd look at it. I'm sure a lot of you out there will probably be screaming at me by now. But like, I still believe that like there's no way I would want to sit down now and let's say play, I don't know, the maze map, before last one. The turn-based way, because for example, if I do that, that level alone, now when I played it with the real time, it took me an hour and 15 minutes. Now imagine playing that level turn-based. Imagine that. That would take you over, I
It would,
think, three, four
yeah,
hours.
easily.
Seriously, easily 3, 4 hours, and that's that. I think that's too much time spent for just
And
one level.
then again, if you fail in turn-based mechanics, like for example, if you don't position your forces properly and you suddenly get ambushed by the enemy, what is going to happen is that you will have no anchor point to retreat to,
True.
and you'll have to reload a game save, which was, let's say, 1 hour ago, and then you're like, shit, Jesus,
True, and then you have to go through all the steps again, every single step, just to get to the same point that you were previously. And
how
then
exciting is that?
yeah. And then you got to put in mind that sometimes, obviously, because your shooting is randomized, you can't expect to shoot and receive the same or give the same damage that you gave before. So then again, you got to understand. Let's say 2 out of the 3 load games that you made before, 2 of them will screw up because again, you can't like predict how the mercenary will shoot. When you replay it again. So, for example, when you load it back again, the mercenary won't shoot and won't give that damage as you expected it to give, or won't get that headshot. So, again, it
Yeah.
complicates it for you. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it like really, grasping what could be possible. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, again, it could be like as Dan mentioned, in today conditions, in today realities of the modern communities, the modern people expect games to be really quick paced. They expect them to be real time. They don't really want turn-based systems. Why is that? Because today, in the modern dynamic world, people want games to be dynamic as well. I think it's the case that so now it could be a good turn-based game, but it took an arrow to the knee. Now, with all due seriousness, there's a game, Abaddon the Black Fortress. It's actually an indie game, but the
Yeah.
thing is that it succeeds in this turn-based mechanics because they're very quick. The enemies don't take a lot of time to think, and they act very quickly, and it's very exciting. But again, there's not so many enemies.
Like,
Now, what would happen in Jagged Alliance too, because there were a lot of enemies on the map simultaneously, like say 20 enemies easily.
yeah.
What would happen? They would suddenly start thinking and evaluating what should they do, which would take forever. Your turns were not taking a lot of time. It's the enemy and allies turns that would take a lot of time. Like for example, militia would start suddenly thinking their super strategical moves,
Yeah. True.
or
True.
soldiers, and again, that would just take a lot of time needlessly taken away from your playtime. Whereas in real time, nobody's taking the time away from you. It's you setting the pace and you setting how fast you're gonna go through the level.
And how aggressive you'd like to go, actually. I don't know.
Of course,
I don't know.
of
Like
course,
I,
like
I, I prefer to sort of play this game more aggressively, but on a ranged basis. I sort of like, I sort of like to pick them off. I don't know. I sort of like this game style. It's sort of, I sort of equip them with rifles and snipers the moment I can get the chance to, and take them out from far. And really take my time at like, slowly picking them off from far and going in slowly. I'm sure. I
mhm.
don't know. Like different people try different things. I watched, a couple of gameplays. I know. There's this one person I'm watching on YouTube currently. He's completely obsessed with going melee attacking everything. So he like stabs everything he can stab. So that is quite interesting. I don't know. I don't really perceive me playing that style though. I sort of enjoy the far away kills. What about you, Mike? How exactly are you playing it currently now?
Well, first of all, to comment on what you just said is that it's quite a baller of a man to try to knife everything because it's freaking difficult
True,
and it's really frustrating
true,
as well.
true, true.
But again, in my opinion, I like it close and personal. As you can see with shotguns, I always hire Wolf and just keep tearing everything to
I
pieces.
noticed in
And
your
I
gameplays.
enjoy how the shotguns are being
I noticed.
disbalanced.
I noticed in your gameplays. You have a lot of shotguns. You have a lot of shotgun moments there, don't you?
But then again, yes, yes. But I just feel that I like shotguns generally. I like the way they operate, and I believe that they are absolutely disbalanced in a way that, unlike with the other weapons where you have to directly hit the target in any body part in order to score a hit,
Yeah,
with shotguns because of the pellet spread, which basically means that once you fire, there's like 7 pellets
yeah,
flying to all the directions, slowly deviating from the main position you was firing at, that it makes it really easy to hit the target even on the far distance with a
yeah.
shotgun
But then the
while
damage
firing
can't be
from the
that
hip.
high. The damage can't be
Oh, it
that.
doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter. The thing is that as long as you hit the target, you interrupt his firing.
True,
And this interruption allows you for another shot. And because of the way interruption works in the game,
true.
although they slightly tweaked it, every time you hit the
He has
target,
to
he
redo the
makes
whole
this
step. Yeah,
weird animation.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then he starts resuming his aiming, but at the time he resumes the aiming, you hit another time. So because of the way Wolf specifically fires the shotgun, it's every zero point 0.6 seconds. So every zero point 0.6 seconds he makes a shot, and provided it's always hits, that no one really makes
True.
any
No one can
competition to it.
return fire. Ah, by the way, Mike, I
Exactly.
wanted to ask you. I'm not really using the shotgun much at all, to be frank. I think I used it only in the beginning levels. But I was reading the forums lately, and I know this one person posted regarding the shotguns is that later on in the levels, he's having issues that they don't do any damage at all. Is that true? Have you tried using them in the later on levels, the shotguns?
I disagree with that.
He said it
I
actually
feel
does 1 to 2 damage, so I'm not sure if it's a bug or if he's just
this is not a bug. This is
unluckily
just
he's bumping
him.
into people that have
Mhm.
body armor, or I don't know what happens because he posted it. I'm not exact. I can't quote word to word, but I know he was
As
complaining that
you're
every time
probably
he'd hit, he'd do 1 to 2 damage. So what do you think on that?
as you well basically as you might I probably think I think you know that there's several levels of enemies in the game,
True,
starting with one, two, three, four, five. Now, how do they go? One is sort of like bums in rugs.
true.
They usually don't have any equipment. They just have simple guns
Idiots
or
with
sometimes
knives.
even
Yes,
knives.
yeah,
Second level are these funny guys with blue shirts. That's the second level. Third levels are the regulars. They actually wear the uniform and they're properly equipped.
yeah,
Then we have fourth and fifth. Now fourth is scary forces. Now five forces, the forces under level five are special forces. Now special forces are usually equipped in heaviest armor, and that's probably why he was dealing minimal damage. Now you have to remember again, as I mentioned in my shotguns guide, although shotguns by all means are not effective against armor, because of the amount of pellets that hit target, you quickly tear the enemy body armor apart very quickly.
and
Now,
you interrupt the shooting, so your other mercs can still shoot him.
Exactly,
Yeah, true.
exactly, exactly. So it's all about positioning. Of course, you're gonna start off with dealing 1 damage, 2 damage, but soon, in like 4 or 5 shots, what's gonna happen is you're gonna tear the enemy to pieces, and because there's no return fire from the enemy coming to you, there's no problem. But again, you have to remember that it's very tactical usage of the shotgun. It's not that, in a fair firefight, shotgun wins the rifle. No, it's not the case because these special forces, not only they're well equipped, they also are well prepared to fire at the target at various ranges, and it's very difficult to engage them like this. But if you fight in a city
Yeah,
or in a block in a how do you call it, the forepost, in any
yeah.
roadblock, you will be able to utilize the cover in that manner that they will not be able to return fire to you, and you're just gonna quickly tear them to shreds.
In other words, you would say that in the later levels, it is that you do less damage, but I guess the advantage is that you actually shoot them. Your rate of fire is so high that they don't have a sort of chance to hit you back, and by that time you sort of deteriorate their armor, and then you start doing the actual damage.
Yes,
So it
again,
does
that is
take time.
provided that you use.
Yeah.
Of course,
It means this tactic though. It means it does take time to break him down though. It means you're actually
Mhm.
breaking the enemy down. You're not actually hitting him immediately. It means
So,
you have to consider that it will take time. But isn't there a disadvantage that maybe another militiaman will run up and join the fight? This is the
well,
problem.
true, but generally, when you select the battlefield for yourself, you have to keep in mind where are you fighting. So, for example, if you properly select the position, this will never happen because if they run next to him, like for example, you fight through a doorway and you
Yeah.
fire at the enemy, and suddenly another militiaman runs up, and what's going to happen? You're just going to shower both of them and fire, and they both will not be able to do anything.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Mm,
But again, if you selected the position poorly,
yeah.
then yes, you will get crowded really quickly and you're just going to lose the battlefield. You're going to lose the firefight. Especially that happens when you fight on the open in the random encounters. If you're suddenly going to fight a random encounter with the soldiers level 5 and 4, you're suddenly going to get torn to pieces because you will not be able to retaliate against the enemy fire, which is accurate, pinpoint, and from very far distance.
True. True.
So
True.
it's all about positioning.
So I don't know. I guess so. Then we could sort of conclude that like shotguns in the later level are more of a, you can say, deterrent, not really an enemy killer. You can say.
Yes, it is in a way, but again, it can be a killer. It depends on the way you use it. Like anything can be used as a killer if you're stubborn enough, but it's not as effective as other weapon types because to apply shotgun properly, you need to know advanced tactics. You need to position your forces like in advanced manner, which is not a problem for the old school players, but
True.
might be a problem for average player.
True.
I'm not trying to degrade anyone. I'm just saying that that's how
True.
it
True.
is.
Because they don't
But
really understand still the mechanics of how everything is going together. So
they will with experience. They will with experience, and selecting a shotgun would be a handicap they could use in order to learn the game tactics better, the game positioning better. I
true.
just feel
True.
this way.
You
Like
know.
the best way to learn
Yeah.
how to swim, just throw yourself out of the boat
And
and just
try,
start swimming.
try. That
Yes.
that is an aggressive way, but it does really work, I must say though. But like, yeah, it really does make sense though. I wasn't really much into the shotgun, but I was surprised that he actually mentioned it. It really makes little damage, but of course it would make sense. If you have a person with full Spectra outkit, it's quite difficult to
Of
make some
course.
damage. It really is.
Especially with the buckshot, because
True,
buckshot,
true.
the way bullet operates is that it separates into small
Pellets
pellets,
and then hits them.
which cannot, under no circumstances, penetrate such armor. You see, but again, the way it works in a game is that every time you hit the armor, you reduce its quality, and the further quality reduced you inflict to the armor, the more damage you're gonna deal.
True. But like, what would be a good advice here? Once you start using rifles or snipers that use the 7 millimeter caliber, which is the 7
Mhm.
point, I don't know what it is, 7.62 or whatever the hell it is, 7 point. It pierces the armor immediately. So, and that tears through armor like knife through butter. It's
It's
designed
designed
for
for it.
that.
Yes,
So
it's designed.
so if you are having difficulties taking them out, I would suggest you just use a gun that has the proper caliber to take care of it. That should sort of, deal with your problem. Other than that, I did notice, a lot of people don't seem to understand the whole principle of morale in the game. Did you realize that as well? They are like creating teams, but
Yes,
they're not
yes.
like putting them together in regards to the morale. I don't know.
But
People, yeah, true. People don't really
to be
understand.
fair, morale is not so crucial in the game. Morale is crucial for the technical specialists in the game, but not as crucial for just the marksman.
But the thing is, you understand, if you don't put the proper team together or the proper mercenaries, the group of mercenaries together that like each other. For example, if one of your people or one of your mercenaries has very low morale, you are affecting a bonus boost. For example, his accuracy goes
True.
down, his other stats go down. So like, but if you really, again, this is for I think more of the bigger fans, the hardcore fans that play it. If you really want to juice out of your mercenaries as much as possible, it's always best to follow the likes and dislike pattern or in the relationship pattern. I mentioned it in
I
my
agree. I
mercenaries
agree.
guide, in regards to the morale as well. Because I realized
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
it was quite
people, yeah,
interesting.
true, a lot of people are not compiling their teams in regards to morale. Like I understand, some people they don't really care. You have the game, cool, you hire mercenaries, you just hire whoever you can get and you just start playing. But what would be nice, if people would start, putting more thought into it, for example, setting up a team in regards to who likes what, who likes who and how it would work in general. And you will realize that, like, for example, or like when I set up the teams, you do realize that like it does affect, like, the performance overall increases. It's quite nice.
Hmm.
So for example, if you have a team of, I don't know, 6 people and the morale is, let's say, just good, and then you have a team of, I don't know, 3 people and the morale is, let's say, very good or even excited, which is a miracle. If you get that, it's quite hard, and you go through the same map, you'd realize it's so much smoother to go through that map with a team with higher morale, because just overall they just play better. They're just really into it. So that's sort of cool to know. Yeah,
I feel that the reason why people don't really use morale so much as a factor is because of the way it's presented in the game. There's no, for example, just only because I watched your video, I realized that there's actually an excited state of morale in the game. I never knew it exists because there's no indication as to what is the current level of morale. Is it the highest? Is it the lowest? Is that what it is? There
sure,
are there are five indicators of morale, but none of them is really well explained to the player. They just say that, okay, they improve the performance. But again, most of the players don't pay attention to what factors this. And some mercenaries actually suffer from this in a way that, for example, the first free mercenary you get to hire, Ira Smith,
yeah,
is basically the problem with her is although she's quite good in what she is for a free mercenary, she always will have a low morale except for times when she's not in a squad filled with women,
true,
which is usually not the case because there's not so many women to hire
true,
in the beginning of the game, and that's the big problem. And then although everyone's happy in a squad, she's going to be the one mourning in the squad all the
true,
time because she's
true.
going to have the low morale at all times.
And
And again, as
yeah,
I said,
yeah.
I still feel that the morale is really important, much more not to the marksmen or pure troopers, as much as it's important to specialists, to explosive specialists,
Yeah,
to technical specialists, and etc.
I guess, yeah. If you to look at it that way, it probably does make more sense, though. It is quite interesting how they sort of also depicted it in the game. I don't know. They haven't really put much focus on it, but I was surprised, which is really weird, because after they released the game and then they started, promoting the whole game itself, then to sort of like back up the game and explain to people how it all worked, they added to sell the guidebook, which explains all this. For example, they would explain you the tactics, the morale, and everything. Which wasn't a bad idea. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great idea. But like, what sort of got me a little on the edge or a little confused was the actual price they were selling the book at. It's 15 euros. Like, it's unbelievable. It means you're spending for the game around, I don't know, 34, 35 euros, and then they sell you a guidebook for half the game. Like, I don't know.
True.
I don't know. I don't like really perceive that as a correct thing to do.
Sadly, I have to agree with you because it just feels like I'm selling you a C4, and then 15 minutes later, I tell you, oh, I forgot to sell you the detonator. You can get it from me also, but it's additional
Or
cost
I
for you.
forgot to tell you how to use it. So
Oh,
here it is,
yes.
and then you're like, okay, what the hell do I do with this? And then you're like, oh, hold on,
Oh, it's
I
another
I
15
I,
euros.
I got the manual here, and it's another 15 euros. So I don't know. I sort of like, what would be even better if they just gave the book out for free. Like, obviously it's
Mhm.
it's it's good to promote, how to play your game in the best possible way. Why? Because then people will know, like, the most efficient way how to play it. They'll know all the tactics. They'll know what everything affects. How morale is affected, how weapons affect it. What different things to do, and obviously it'll promote more people to create more videos on the best ways to deal with things. But the fact is that they were selling it for such a high price, sort of like made me frown down upon it. I don't know. I don't.
I actually disagree with you because if they would release the guidebook as such, I mean, not the manual for the game, but the guidebook, and insert it into the game box, for example, or just give it away for free, what would suddenly happen is that we all would lose something to talk about because it would be already in the guidebook. Like, for example, because there's so little information presented in a manual,
True.
which I read, I'm so happy that it's so little because there's so much to talk about. But if they would just pump out this guide, with the game, what would happen? I would be like, oh, okay,
No, no. But
that's
the
exciting.
thing
I
is,
have nothing to talk about.
yeah. But the thing is, I didn't say they should put it with the game. I said, if they would release it, which they have. I just think the 15 euros is quite steep. Just for a guidebook. Seriously, come on. Like, how many people have forked out 15 euros for the guidebook? I'm sure if they lowered it down to like a more reasonable or more like sane price of, I don't know, 3 to 4 euros, they'd probably have more people buy it. But who's going to fork out half the price of the game, half the price of
True.
the game
Okay,
for
okay.
the
That
book itself?
there's no way to argue against that.
Seriously.
I would personally spend it at most 6 euros
And
if I would be into guidebooks,
yeah,
but I'm not.
I was thinking,
So,
price range between, yeah, three to 6 euros or 3 to 5 is sort of normal. But 15 euros, seriously, come on, you know.
but again, you have to remember somebody written this book, somebody put time into it, just specifically to write the book. But it just feels that, especially considering that you covered most of the important things in your videos, in your guides, which you should totally check out on the dance channel,
Thanks,
AddmeGamers.
man. Yeah,
The very, very, very interesting guides, which completely, in my opinion, replace the guidebook
I think so. Yes.
because it's all well spoken and it's spoken about all the important features and things in the game. Well, guidebook as such, okay, for some people it might be useful, but again, half the price of the game, Jesus Christ. And then you're like, imagine something else. They're gonna release additional thing like a backup city which costs twice as much as the game. What's it gonna be? It's all like
It's
mercantile or something.
it is a little like off guard though, but like you like might have a point there in regards to the fact that they might have got somebody that actually created the guidebook specifically, or they might have
Mm.
subcontracted. But I sincerely doubt that they subcontracted the guidebook to another company. Obviously, they probably did it, but it is still sort of steep though. So yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
actually, it is. It's a common practice then. The company hires a person, or just finances him. Like he can be in the company, but they can just finance and pay him the expenses to do that, and he just purposefully plays the game for several, how much days, weeks,
Yeah,
whatever it will be. He writes a guidebook. It's just it's a purposeful. It's it's a very very tedious thing to do, in my opinion, because you have to cover everything in the game, and you don't necessarily like what you're covering. So it might be not the best thing to do. But again, the fact itself that they have the guidebook for anyone who wants to
it's
purchase it, it's
nice.
a good
It's
thing. The
very nice.
price is the
Yeah, the price is the annoying thing. It's very good that it's the actual official company giving the guidebook, because the majority of guidebooks out there, for example, I don't know, for Angry Birds, for example, you have like 20 different companies making 20 different guidebooks for this
yes,
game,
true, true.
which is
Hmm.
sort of not very nice. Like, obviously, it's great
And
that
you
you
never know what you buy. You never
exactly,
know what you buy.
exactly,
There's no
because
guarantees.
with this there is a guarantee. There is a guarantee. So that is also a good thing, that sort of comes with it. But again, the price is it's a little overkill. I think the price is a little overdone. Yeah. Yeah, true. But like if we're gonna talk about the actual company itself, we did mention there's 13 people working on this
True.
Jagged
Okay,
Alliance,
that's a fair point.
So,
Hmm.
but like, I was shocked the first time I heard it because I thought it's a little, I suspected more people. I don't know, I thought around 20, 25 people. But you know what shocked me even more, Mike? You know what really shocked me even more?
What shocked you even more?
When I was reading
Well,
the actual, Q&A or whatever you want to call it, when Michael posted it on
mhm.
the forum, is that there are 20 people working for Jagged Alliance online. Do you believe this? Like,
Oh yes, oh yes. As a matter of fact, I played this game and made a small, brief presentation of this game on my channel. You can
seriously?
check it out on slash host Mike Pushkin. But the thing is that I played it, and as I played it, I was getting disappointed more and more proportionately with this game. In this game, you actually it's like a not pay to play based game, but you actually pay for many things. You can hire mercenaries, but to have them for unlimited time, you have to pay real money. You
Yeah.
can buy bullets with in-game money, but in order to have the best bullets, you have to pay real money. You can have guns and ammunition, but to have best guns and
Again, you have to pay
ammunition,
for
you have to
money.
pay money. Like Jesus Christ, you pay for everything. And in this game, there's actually a PvP system. And how is it logical when you pay to win,
Obviously,
essentially,
you're gonna win.
and you have to pay for ammunition and etc.? What is all
It
this?
means the
What is it?
person that
And
forks out more money wins. It means the guy that spends more money will
absolutely,
win.
absolutely. But
So
this is ridiculous. This
this is
is not the
completely
way
ridiculous.
gaming should be. I disagree with that. I don't like this game. I wish it never existed. I don't care if it's turn-based 3 times. I don't care what it is. I don't care how
I don't
good it
know.
is. I played it. I did not like it.
Yeah.
I do not recommend it to you. But don't take my word for granted. Go ahead and play it. It's an open beta
Like for
now. You can
example, I
go ahead.
tried it. I have tried it. I have tried it. And the first impression when I got the moment I opened it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing another Facebook game. I swear to God, it's the same layout. You have on the top, you have your statistics, your money, and on the right, you buy like I don't know, you buy fuel, and then you buy golden fuel, and then you buy liquid diamond fuel. I'm just making stuff up,
Yeah,
which obviously you
yeah,
pay
yeah,
more
yeah.
for. and then you
Pay,
buy
pay, pay.
exactly, and then you buy like an item, and then you buy a lollipop, and then you buy a bigger lollipop, and then you buy a golden lollipop,
Yeah.
which you pay again
But
more.
if you want, yeah, exactly, exactly. If you want to have a golden lollipop, pay the money.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to have better things, just pay the money all the time. What is this?
you know
How is that
so
logical?
I don't know, and the fact is that they put 20 people to work on the online. It's like, it just, I don't know. I feel disappointed that they put the priority for the Jagged Alliance online. It's like as if they believe that they are to gain more from the online community. Like, I know it's all fashionable to have these Facebook style games all over because you can sell everything and anything, which they have done. They have sold everything. They sell you the turn moves, they sell you the ammunition, they sell you the,
Hmm.
the, the, the weapons. I'm sure they're going to start selling you the clothes, which they have done for the back in
Oh, they
action, by
do.
the
Oh,
way.
they do.
Which they have done for the back in action. You have the different sort
Oh,
of.
it's not the same. It's not the same. It's just the DLCs, and
True,
they're very
true,
small,
true.
and they're not
And
particularly
they're
expensive.
not. They're reasonably priced, but like, you understand, like the concept is the same. But they have, like, for example, for the back in action, they sell you, for example, just like, a combination like the desert kit, or the night kit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what they're doing in the back in action. But for the online, they sell you everything and anything they can.
I know, I
Everything
know.
is
I
for
absolutely
sale.
disagree with this point.
It's like
I absolutely disagree with
everything
this.
is for sale. You can buy anything and everything. I don't know. And like, the thing is, it really comes down to the fact is, seriously, people, when you have the money, you can always win. You know, it
And then again, there's a PvP system in the game. In the game? What do you mean? Excuse me, gay. What do you expect to gain by allowing people to pay for the best things in the game and including PvP at the same time? So it's essentially pay to win. Is that it?
yeah,
Is that what the Jagged Alliance Online is? What is this?
completely, completely. Because obviously, look, for
And
example, if I'm playing versus you and I buy the best armor, the best equipment, and the best
absolutely, I
guns,
have no
and
chance.
we
I
are
have no
and we
chance.
are playing, let's say, for example, the same way, the same levels we completed, the same everything we have done. The only difference is I have just spent, I don't know, $50 more to buy all this extra virtual.
I'm gonna obviously suck
Yeah, you're gonna suck. Even though you
and
might
rage
be a
quit the
better
bloody
player,
game.
though, yeah, you might be a better player,
Yes,
but you're
exactly,
still gonna lose
exactly.
because my weapons and my ammo that I bought with a diamond tip or whatever the hell you want to call it, or like bigger
Hmm.
caliber with like special, damage or whatever the hell, will kill you
Absolutely, it's just
faster.
not
So
fair.
it's, I don't know,
Of course.
I don't know, I don't know.
It's just that, and it also takes away. Of course, I understand there's a different company working on it, right? And another sub company, like
Seriously?
on the Jagged Alliance. Yeah, on Jagged Alliance Back in Action, we have the Core Play
Yeah,
working on it, and the Jagged Alliance Online, it's something else. I can check it right now, but I don't
don't
exactly remember
know
what it
that.
is. But also the thing is that Jagged Alliance Online, as much as I would like to love this game, right?
Yeah,
I tried, I gave it a chance. I do not feel that it should have even existed. They should have designed it better with all these microtransactions because as such, it just destroys the fan base and it will eventually kill it because people will realize, oh, you know what? I have to pay for everything. Fuck this game. I'm not gonna play it. That's just the way it is
true,
because
true.
in order to it's not we're not, European players are not Korean players. You have to understand that that's in Korea. People are playing many different more RPGs, MMO games, and they pay for everything, right? And then they also they like to do that. That's in their blood. That's in their lifestyle. And also they can marry in these games. And whenever they marry in these games, they also spend a lot of money. It's like a virtual marriage, and they spend a lot of money
That
on
is
it, a
just
lot of
insane.
real
That
world
is
money.
just insane.
But that's Korean people.
Yeah.
European people never were into this pay to win thingy, and no, they will never will, in my opinion. And releasing such game is just ridiculous. No thanks. I do not recommend it to anyone, and I don't want you. If you want, okay, I'm not gonna. Don't take my word for granted. Just go ahead and try it yourself. But I do not recommend it. I said it. I said it. If you
They
hate the
they
game,
can
don't say it.
try. They can try. I must say, Mike, you have got further with it because I opened it. I think I lasted with it for 5 minutes. I didn't even finish the tutorial. When you're sitting there and you're shooting at pumpkins
Yes,
or balls or
yes.
whatever it is, those three things. I stopped.
Screw that.
I stopped it right there. I'm like, screw this. I'm not playing this. Seriously. I
Mm.
don't know. I still
So just
believe
check.
the game completely goes
Mm.
out. Yeah, you were saying, Mike?
Yeah. The company who makes the game is the Cliffhanger.
Ah, you
It's
got it.
something else. Again,
Okay.
and again, the funniest part is the game right now is in open beta, but you still can get the real money into the game, and you can still spend them. My question is, what the hell is that? What is this? So you pay for beta as well to win in the beta?
Are you
Fuck this.
are you actually sure that it is real? Maybe it's just a testing phase. Maybe that they're just like testing to buy these items. Have you tried to actually purchase anything?
Never tried. Never tried. No,
Okay,
I cannot specify
okay.
exactly, but you can spend the provided gold, and it's usually not enough for anything.
Obviously, obviously.
You have 100 gold units,
Yeah,
but even to hire the most basic mercenary, you have to have at least 130.
of course,
So
of course.
technically, you cannot
Do
really
anything.
test everything.
Yeah,
It's
true,
not like in Diablo 3 beta where you have 100 beta bucks, which is enough to buy anything from anyone.
true, 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 true. Well, I don't know. I think overall this Jagged Alliance online is a complete failure to me. I don't know. I think it's a waste of resources. They should have focused the money and the resources on their back in action. There are so many great ideas and feedback coming from the actual players, that like
Of
they
course,
could
I
implement,
know.
they have even got to the point where they just started moding in the ideas themselves. They started creating, the things that they'd like the game to do. Obviously not
Absolutely,
like
absolutely.
specifically to detail, but they have tried to create some of these ideas themselves, and integrate it into the game. So yeah,
Mhm. I think that this idea is integrated into the game. It was in my experience when I was playing the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and after that I played a bit of Morrowind because I wanted to know where it all started. Basically, the integration of the not creation, how was it called? The construction kit into the game basically allowed other people, whoever was interested, to create mods, small and big, whatever it is, and they were all kind of working together if you could set them up, and which was really interesting because they expanded the game without developers doing anything. Now, what's happening in Jagged Alliance back in action, sadly, because the developers are unwilling to release the SDK, they prevent this from happening. They prevent other people, other
hold
players
on,
to focus.
I gotta jump there, Mike. But I think it's very funny that they have released, I think, 2 points that gives two values for people to mode in their patch 111. So that was
But
like
it's not enough.
that was
That's
like a
yeah,
minimum,
yeah,
a
okay.
minimum. That's like
Yes,
nothing.
okay,
Yeah.
yes. Exactly. That's just a minimal. It's again like, guys, we kind of allow you to do that. But when people ask for SDK, you know what? No.
Here, we'll give you
So
two values that you can change and like,
mm,
configure, and that's about it.
I remember it was something about the noise in the game. It was three actually. Noise in the game. It was the additional in the text file. People can now add more guns and now add more ammunition types. But that's not enough.
That's nothing.
That's very minimal.
That's seriously.
People still cannot modify the experience cap. What are you talking about? Like they still cannot remove or modify the experience cap because there's no way to do that yet. And again, Bit Composer wants to expand the game. I understand. Technically speaking, it brings more money to the developers and to the Bit Composer, but in a way, again, it kind of kills the game because it's just 13 people works on it, and it's not. They cannot, even if they work 24/7, 365, they will not be able to expand the content of the game so much
As the users
that they
would.
will recreate. Of course, yes,
That's
of course,
true.
because
That's true.
users are in thousands and developers are just 13.
True, true. I don't know. It's seriously, it's a great idea. I don't know why they just won't give this capability to the users to do. They have nothing to lose. Like I understand. Okay, okay, wait, hold on. They might actually release a very big patch that might integrate some of this into it. This is just big. This is just a big guess out there. Maybe the next patch will allow you to, mode the game, more.
That would be really exciting. That would be really exciting. Even without the access to SDK, further allowances to the players to modify this and that, to modify the enemy equipment, to
Everything.
modify
Yeah.
militia,
That
yeah, to
would be
modify
great.
everything would be really exciting.
That would be great.
But again,
Yeah.
it's just they probably feel it's unsafe for them to do that because they might lose the money. But to be fair, the Bethesda Entertainment, Bethesda Softworks,
Yeah.
they released the creation kit, and let's talk about Oblivion. They released the
The whole kit,
editor
yeah, for you to create the levels, the monsters, everything. I saw it. It's beautiful.
long ago. Long ago, the expansion set was released. They released it long ago, but still. people bought expansions.
Of course,
There was no problem with that.
of course.
People still wanted to see what developers did themselves. And again, no matter how many tools they release, I feel that rarely will a mod be as good as what the core play will release. So why are they concerned about it? I really don't understand.
And furthermore, the thing is, Jagged Alliance isn't a multiplayer game, back in action. So I really don't know where the concern is. Like, I'd understand if it was a multiplayer game and they'd be concerned that
Yeah.
people would mod the game and then abuse it in the multiplayer, and then people would start, crying, it's not fair, I'm getting my ass kicked because some guy modded it and he's cheating and, he has greater advantages. But like, you can't play multiplayer on this game. You can't even play versus, you can't play with somebody, you're just playing a single player. So the only thing you're
Absolutely.
modding is just modding your current single player game. So, seriously, this should be even like an easier decision for BitComposer to make. To just, say, what, screw it. We'll just let them do whatever the hell they want, and we shall, as you said, release expansions and patches as we go on. So if they feel like playing
But
around
it's in a way it's right. I feel it's very very right decision to make, and it brings additional people into the game because essentially by allowing people to do that using their SDK, not only they make the name for themselves. Oh, look at this small German studio core play with just 13 people working on the game was able to release an SDK which allowed people to mod the game extensively. Now just think about it, what name it brings to the developers, and then players really excited about these new features that mod the game, release all those beautiful modifications like in Jagged Alliance 2.
true,
There
true,
were what were there? The shady deals or shady business. There were Vietnam combat, and there were so many different modifications which changed the game so extensively. It was so exciting, and it all started with the patch 1.13. It was a modification essentially which changed many things and continued fixing the game, and it was done essentially by the players, not by the developers. You
true.
have to understand that. And in Oblivion, what happened is that people created, the players, they created the unofficial Oblivion patch, which again fixed all the bugs in the entire game,
Wow.
which took them 3 years to make, but they did it, which again lifts the work from the core play. And again, core play could just have contacted someone who's working on the patch for Jagged Alliance back in action, if that would be the case, and they could have just took these ideas and this worked, done pieces of work and just integrated in the new patch. It saves time. It works for the player and for the developer. I don't understand what's the reason not to add it.
Seriously, seriously. I think they have only things to gain from this, because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, if the user's experience increases substantially, it would be great. Like for example, I'm only locked to one map, you know. Why don't I have the
Mhm.
option in the main menu to load up scenarios, and you'd release
True.
a map creator. So for example, you'd create a
That would be really
map
exciting.
and like you'd create a map, for example, based on Baghdad, and I'd have to, charge in my mercenaries and save somebody or save a hostage or something. I think that would be cool.
That would be so
I
exciting.
think
That would be so
I think
exciting.
that would be cool. For example, you'd create a scenario and outplay it. It wouldn't be related to the game itself. It would be somewhere in the options menu. By the way, did you see the remake I made? I think I mentioned that somewhere in my remake. That you could
Oh,
actually
that was really extensive. That was really
that was
extensive.
that
That you could select the different areas in the world map and just go into there. That's just
That's
crazy.
just nuts. Yeah, I know. I thought it was very cool. But like, they don't need to do all of it. I know it probably isn't possible, because of budgets and just other, factors. But like, if some points they could, like for example, you could create a scenario section and, you could be creating, different scenarios in different parts of the world and people could experience that. I think that would just improve the gameplay tremendously.
Jagged Alliance back in action. Europe, divide and conquer. That would be exciting, I think. That would be exciting. No,
Yeah,
in all honesty, that's a really, really important things. Really important. And it lifts off the work from the developers. And at the end of the day, again, I think it would increase the sales because you you would just go to your friend, oh my God, I'm playing this game, Jagged Alliance back in action. It's a game from a small studio, but shit, there's so many mods for it that I cannot stop playing it. It's
true.
just so exciting.
True, true, true. I think this would be a wonderful idea. I don't know. Seriously, we have to sit and wait and see. Since they released the patch 111, what was it, 2, 3 weeks ago? I'm not sure quite exact.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was like 2 weeks,
Two
I
weeks ago.
think.
So I believe since the second patch should be much bigger, so obviously the time difference when they'll release it should be much further away. So I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months. I'm just throwing numbers here, but I would estimate at least 2, 3 months before they'd release the second one, because the second one should be huge. So I hope
Inventory of the sector,
yeah,
militia changes. Oh my God, all the demanded changes.
just put them
What
there.
are they going
Put
to do
them
with that?
there.
It's so important.
Transport system. Give us a transport system. You know,
Are they going to slowly do that? I think
give
that would be really exciting.
give us some sort of transport system to transport the goods. Seriously, that like there's so many
That's
things
so
that
frustrating right now because the technically your base of operation
is all the
is
way in
in
Dresden,
Drassen,
and you
in
can't.
Drassen,
Yeah,
but the best place is in Cumbria, right? Because
true,
it's in the middle of everything.
true.
But shit, you cannot transport
You
anything
can't do
there.
it.
You have to have specific grants to get the guns there to bring them back. That's ridiculous.
I just use the in-game mercenaries that you have. I just use those. The in-game mercenaries. When you're playing in the game and then you pick up a mercenary from within the game. They're like
Mhm.
free mercenaries. I use those. I use those to like go and pick up the stuff from Dresden Airport and bring it all over the map.
But it's just tedious, isn't it?
It's
It's not
annoying.
comfortable. Of course, it's
It's
annoying.
very
You
annoying
just
because
have a
it's
bunch of
it's
mercenaries that do
exactly
nothing
it's
useful.
a lot of time wasting and it's very annoying because really you don't feel like doing this. You want to use the mercenaries doing something else. Like the
Mm.
best thing would be like use the mercenaries to camp out in a town and mine the living hell out of it. That's what I usually do. I keep one mercenary in Cambria that's like skilled in explosives and all he does is just mines the living hell out of it. You have that like you have like this path. They have to like run across this small little field which
Oh yeah,
which
okay,
is in front of
okay.
the guy.
You're a little cheater. You're an annoying person.
Yeah, yeah, and they always run the same way because the AI is stupid. Hint, hint. Fix the AI here. So they always run the same way. So I just mine the whole path. The whole path. So you have like one guy, the shittiest guy that has like a minimum explosive requirement to put mines, and you'd have like a team of 6 or 12, militiamen running in to take over Cambria, and they just be mined. By the time they even get close to the house, because they always run towards this house, always, always, they always run towards the center house, number 5, which I stuck in map
Yeah.
location. You can take a look at that. Never mind. So on the way there, they all die there. So it's great. So they all run there, and like I think one person maybe survives. And out of which I already armed like 12 or 13 militia
Mhm.
rebels, so they sort of kill off the rest. But it's great. I think they really should get that done because so we can actually use the mercenaries within the game for something else instead of transport. Or
And
use them.
again, what you mentioned is very important thing. Again, sorry to interrupt. What you mentioned is very important thing. You talk about your mercenary, and what you essentially do, you help the militia in the Cambria to defend the sector. I mean, what the hell? Since you have the militia there, why not? I'm really anticipating for the next patch, and I want to see how do they change mechanics connected with militia, because right now militia is as useless as it can be. And I would like to see militia much more useful and used much more often in different combat situations, in the meaning that if I could equip the militia
Yeah,
more properly, I would gladly give them the flag quests, I would give them the helmets, I would teach them to shoot, as long as they can defend the sector. Because I actually ran a test
yeah,
about the militia, and I gave the militiamen personally, I gave them a helmet, I gave them body armor, I
yeah.
gave them best guns,
It's pointless, by the
I
way.
gave them Kalashnikovs, but it doesn't do
It
anything.
does
Exactly, it's
actually
pointless.
no. The guns help. By the way, the guns help, but the body armor is pointless. It's a waste. And
But
also,
what the hell?
you actually have to level up the sector. So, for example, Cambria, you need to put six. You need to like weaponize 6 militia. You need to give 6 people militia. And after
Mhm.
6, it goes to level 2. You didn't notice that when you click on Cambria, it says level 1. So, for example,
Yes,
level
but
1 is
how
six
much time does it
militia.
take?
So, for example, to level 2,
Mm.
I need to give 8 militia people. Eight militia weapons. So I got to give out to like 8 people weapons. And then like level 3 is 20 people. It takes a lot of time because how are you gonna? Because again, this is you need logistics. If you want to equip your mercenaries or the militia that you have in towns, you need logistics. And since you don't have a
True.
transport system, it's just a headache. It's just a headache because either you got to use your main team, which you don't want to use because you want to use your main team to attack and to like move forward in the game or to do quests. And if you keep getting attacked, and if you keep getting attacked in certain locations like Cambria, because which is like your headquarters literally, you always need to keep resupplying the militia because the militia keep dying because they're useless.
Mm.
So for like I remember once I upgraded Cambria. I had I think 21 militia there. You know, and then I had one
And
set
it didn't work.
and they died. They died. Like it's not that they all died, but like for example, one set of 6 walk in. I don't know what level they were in because that was prior to patch 111. You know,
Mhm.
so I didn't know because you can't select. When you have like the militia running around on the map, before they attack you, you can actually see what level they're at now because of the patch. But before you didn't have
Yeah,
that.
before you couldn't. I
Yeah.
remember.
So I didn't know. So for example, you'd have 5 people, but if they'd be in a high level, they'd completely decimate. So you'd have 21 militia, and you'd have only like three left. Three left. You know. You know what would be
Mm.
even cooler
Talk
though?
about expenses. What
Expenses.
would be cooler?
What do you mean by?
You spend so much money. What you spend so much money on equipping all these guys, even with the worst weaponry. You spend so much time to equip them because your primary team is somewhere else, and then you suddenly see, oh, I can equip 3 more militiamen here. I have
Uh,
to go there suddenly.
yep.
And then you go there like an idiot. You equip them. You leave the sector, and then the enemy
Oh.
attacks, and your militiamen get decimated. That's just ridiculous.
The expenses, I never really had an issue with that. Like obviously, the only thing that did annoy me is because, I didn't want to sell the weapons because I wanted to arm the militia. I armed the militia and they lost anyways. That sort of pissed me off. Because
Mhm.
otherwise you could sell the weapons and make the money. So I don't,
Well, yeah, of course.
so like yeah, that is sort of that is really not really a fair system in there. I would tell. But like overall, I think back in action, the real-time based play they did was a great idea. Great idea. I think that the game itself is wonderful. They have a lot of patches to come out and a lot of fixes to still do. But like I still think there is hope for this game. There is.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
The one
It's certainly it's not the best game in the world,
true
but it's certainly not the worst, and it's quite solid for what it is. It's
for
quite
for
solid
a
for what it
team
is.
of 12 people doing this, I think it's a brilliant game. You really have to, hats down. It really is a wonderful game. You know, the only thing I bumped into though, like one thing which I could complain about is I actually bought the retail box. You were there. I called
Oh
you up. I
yes,
called
oh yes.
I called you up when that happened. I flew down to Budapest. I bought the retail box. Obviously, the guy in Media Mart is like, don't worry, it all works in the EU. So I actually bought it and I flew back and I installed it. Obviously, it doesn't work. So what happened there is when I try to like throw in the key into the Steam account, it just doesn't activate. And then I realized after I sent emails to everybody, to the companies, to everybody, it came down to the conclusion that Steam segments Europe into different sections. So the game itself wouldn't work in that section. And the box itself doesn't even say what region it's available for. So that was very
Exactly.
frustrating. That was very frustrating. Seriously, that was very.
That's just that's just bitching for no reason, in my opinion. What does Steam care? Where did the game key came from? As long as it came from somewhere, what do you have to get or lose? As long as the person bought the key from Europe and he lives even in Czech Republic, what the hell is the difference between the Czech Republic and the rest of the Europe? so suddenly, people, Czech people they cannot use European games.
True.
It's
It's ridiculous.
ridiculous.
And furthermore, Steam they supposedly split Europe into I don't know, few tiers. I think tier one, tier two, tier three. I think there's four. So they literally split Europe into four tiers. They have classified it as the poorer Europe, all the way up to the average and above average, and then well more well off part of Europe. And they price it accordingly. You know that? So that's the whole point
I
of
never
this.
knew that. I never knew that.
That's the whole point of why the system is working. So, for example, they don't want you to buy the game in the poorer parts of Europe because you'll pay less and because they price it less, substantially less. So that's why
Hmm.
that's why they did it. But I don't know. I believe that is really not fair. If you buy it in Europe, it should work all in Europe. And even if you buy the game, what you should do is at least stick on the box what tiers it's working for or what areas. Because, when
Hmm.
I looked at the game, because I thought, oh my God, I'm an idiot, I made a mistake. So I looked through the whole box, I looked through the whole manual, and guess what? There's
There's
absolutely
nothing. There's no
nothing,
information.
nothing, no information where it works. So
Hmm.
that is one annoying thing. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to have this issue. How many people, I don't know, how many parents would buy the game for their kid because they keep nagging them about it? So when they
Hmm.
fly off for holidays, they buy it and then they fly back and they give it to them and obviously it doesn't work. So I don't know.
What to do now? You're gonna send it back to the
You
media
can
market in another city to which you have to
you
fly?
can't do it. You
What?
can't do it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You can't do it. And even when I try to communicate with the actual company itself, they reply to me, sorry, we do not have the database with us, the actual serial key database. Because I asked them, I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, guys, come on, disable this key and give me a key that actually works for my region. They're like, yeah, sorry, but we don't have the database. Steam has it. So it's like, I'm like, come on, it's like if at least if you're gonna do this, have the potential to fix it. So
And Steam, yes, very good point, a crucial point in my opinion. The Steam have never been famous for good support. And I have many examples of my friends suffering from the bad support from the Steam side and actually losing their accounts and Steam not being able to restore anything. Like, whereas I cannot say the same. I actually think you had the same problem with StarCraft 2, was it not?
yeah, but
You what?
but but the
Hmm?
big difference with StarCraft 2 is I call up Blizzard. I'm like, hey guys, look, I got a problem. They're like, wait, hold on. I had the conversation which lasted 2-3 minutes and it was fixed, and that was it. That was the end of
Here you
that.
go. Here you go. That's the bottom line. If you want to price your things differently across Europe in order not to lose money, at least have the capacity to support it.
Yeah,
And since you don't do it like this because people are suffering because of it. People want to buy the bloody game. They don't want to support you, Mr. Steam. They want to buy the game from BitComposer, from CorePlay. They don't buy the game from Steam. Steam haven't did anything to create this game
true,
or to do anything for it. Just because they host patches, it doesn't mean that they did a whole lot of things for it.
true, true, true. Well, I believe this is about it for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And this is Dan and Mike.
Yes,
So see
it
you.
was really exciting.
It was a lot of fun. I must say it was a lot of fun. We should do this again maybe next week or so. Maybe not next
Of
week.
course, and since we do it for the, let's say if we do it for the next week, let's again aim for the Monday, and then you should send all interested. You should send the questions to Dan so that we can consider these questions for the next podcast. It would be really exciting
Yeah,
because if you have something you would like us to discuss and you see that we're not going to this direction, you should totally contact Dan in any way he provides you to do that. I expect him to put a mail address or
I'll put a mail
so we can send
address,
a
and you
message.
you
But whatever.
you you can always, of course, leave a comment down below. You know the usual. Leave a comment, like it, subscribe it. Even visit
Oh yeah,
Mike's
oh yeah.
channel over at Quick TV. It's a great channel there. He always describes some other stuff. And see you guys next week. Hopefully, take care. This is Dan, and goodbye.